This is the Gateway Log. My name is Derek, where I talk about my experiences with Monroe Institution, Gateway Tapes, Expand app, and everything in between. I've been out a few days. I was sick. I got real sick, fever and all that stuff. But as I was coming out of the sickness on the night of February 20th, 2026, I did Focus 15, and I only saw a little... it looked like a square, and I was looking through it and I could see like clouds and sunlight, but it was like a portal square. And I tried to like move myself to see, around the corner a little more, and then it faded out. And that was about all I got out of that. The next day, on the 21st in the morning, I woke up at like 6:30 in the morning, and I decided to do a Superflow, which is from the Gateway Online experience, or the Gateway Voyage Online experience, which is an hour and a half meditation, where you essentially just go all the way from Focus 1 or C1 all the way to Focus 21 and back down. For that one, I got into a vibrational state that I hadn't been in quite a bit. Because again, when you're sick, it's really hard to relax and focus. And during the period, like you'll go to like Focus 10, and then it'll drop out in silence. Then you go to Focus 12, drops out in silence. Focus 15, drop out in silence. And in each of those, they say, ask for help. And so I was essentially doing a lot of patterning in those spots. Like, hey, this is what I'd like to see in my life. Here's things I'm challenged. Like right now, work's getting really busy. So I'm like, hey, I want to bring some, cohesiveness to that and get rid of some of the chaos feeling. And then once I got to Focus 21, I felt like I was falling backwards from like patterned clouds. And then I hit water, and then I was climbing out of the water and climbing on a beach. And what was really interesting about this is that I felt like I could feel my feet going into sand, and I could imagine the sensation of the sand like kind of covering my toes. And then as I walked out of the water, I felt it stuck to my feet. And then, and there's that thought in my head like, oh, I hate this feeling because, I hate dragging it into my car. The beach was really beautiful. There was like a mountain behind the beach a little bit, there's water. The sun, I couldn't tell if it was sunrise or sunset. And, and there's a nice big old mountain in front of me, or hill or something. It was very like sharp edges and all that. And I also felt the sand between my fingers as I was pushing into the sand as well. So I thought that was really interesting. And then it jumped to another visibility or visual where I was like looking at a journal, and it looked like I was writing things in my handwriting. And I felt my fingers across the journal, and I felt the texture of it. It wasn't soft paper. I don't know. It was weird. It kind of had like this glossy, sticky feeling to it. But the sensation was incredibly clear. And then at some point I heard I heard it, and then I was like, wait a minute, that wasn't me. I heard a woman's voice that sounded like it was coming through a telephone speaker. So it was like really limited in frequencies, but she said like one or two words, and it was a positive thing. I can't remember what she said, because after she said it, I saw a bunch of visuals. But I remember it was coming out of my left ear on this side, and I remember it being very distinct and be like, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't me. What was that? And then as I was counting down from Focus 21 to Focus 12, I saw a man kind of sitting in front of me, and he was holding his leg. He was bleeding out of his leg, and he had short hair. He's an older gentleman, and he looked really distressed. And again, it was one of those things where I saw it and it didn't really click. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not imagining that. What is that? And then it was a guy, and he looked at me, and then he faded away, and I had wondered if that was something like, some people talk about things happening in Focus 23 to 25, where it's like the area of belief systems where, if people pass and they don't know they're dead, or their belief systems are so strong they don't know where to go, they kind of get stuck there. Monroe Institute has a program called Lifelines, where you're trained to go there and try to help guide these souls or these people to the next, level. So that crossed my mind, but I didn't have any feelings outside of just seeing it and being like, I don't know who that is. I didn't imagine that. And then I didn't really feel like I got any answers after that. And then the next day, or later in the day, I was like, I really want to try remote viewing. Like, I've been in bed sick for 4 days. It's like, clearly I'm relaxed now. So I did the RV competition app, I think is what it's called. And it essentially, they have 3 practice rounds and then a round that you compete in where you try to remote view. It gives you a number and then you try to sketch it out. And usually I close my eyes and try to vision whatever it is I'm remote viewing. But, truthfully, when I use this app, I get it wrong every single time. So this time I tried doing it like where I softened my gaze and really just kind of relaxed. And then as I started to see lines appear, I didn't see a full image. I just saw like a line here or a line there. I would sketch it down, and it would be pieces that I would sketch. And I ended up getting 3 in a row, the 3 practice rounds in a row right. And there would always be one distinguishing feature in each sketch that I did. I was like, this is the photo. I know this is it. And then I did a 4th one, but I won't find out the answer to today until today. So I'm waiting on that. But then I told my friend about it, and they were like, I wonder if you could see through, like see what I'm seeing and sketch it out. And they said they were looking at something. So I was like, I don't know, I'll try. So I sketched out this image and like just to show what it looks like. I didn't know what it was. You just note the curve on the middle there and just note where everything kind of is in place. I didn't know what it was. Honestly, I'd spent about 6-7 minutes on it and then nothing else was popping in. I was like, I don't know what this is here. And I sent it to her, and then she sent me a picture. This is what she was trying to send. And, again, I didn't draw like perfect shapes or anything, but there was a curve there. There was trees here. I drew a bunch of brush on the bottom, and that the general area of this thing was in place, like, so when you look back at it. So, I ran it through a couple of tests, and people said, no, I mean, it's a hit. Obviously, I didn't write great details. So again, I'm always a little guarded with this stuff, but she felt like it was a hit because there was like everything was just kind of in its place. I didn't necessarily picture the whole thing at once. It was just lines here or there. So I'm going to continue practicing some of this remote viewing stuff and seeing if I can get a little better at it. But I'm getting back to normal health, so I'm excited to jump back in and do more Monroe Institute stuff. But if you have any experiences or anything you'd like to share, please let me know. And remember, I'm not here to convince you or tell you this is real or not. This is just my experience and what I'm seeing. So until the next one, my name is Derek. This is Gateway Log. We'll see you.